stayed as a mountain guide and ski instructor, which I was doing when I left the military, and I found that quite interesting. And it was only by chance that I moved from that sort of very sort of relaxed activity into doing something more serious in terms of humanitarian work. Well, actually teaching skiing to 5-year-old children is all about negotiation. Actually, it seems a very loose, sort of vague connection, but being a ski teacher of small children is actually quite a good grounding and background to becoming a humanitarian negotiator. And it was in Central Africa many, many years ago where a large population of refugees had crossed from one country into another. And the country they'd crossed into, where I was working, was in a state of virtual civil war. And I remember thinking at the time that I thought this was just part of our job. And if I'd known at the time, I think afterwards I would have immediately started to learn about how do you do negotiations, what is international humanitarian law, because all we were trying to do is keep people alive. But I learned afterwards and progressively over the years that this actually is an activity and a skill and a technique that you can learn. And I only wish I'd had those skills at the time. It would have been a much easier process. Many, many years later, the penny finally clicked. I said, yeah, I need to learn how to do this because we do this all the time. So this is almost 30 years ago. So, things have changed now, but at the time, no, it was, there was no skill, there was no training, there was no identification of this as an activity. And that would have been very helpful. I think it's getting far more complicated. The actual battle space, if we say that conflict drives needs, basically, that's how everybody accepts that. Therefore, the changing nature of conflict around the world is changing the environment in which we have to function. And there was a recent sort of example, maybe it was 2-3 months ago in Mozambique, where one part of Mozambique, we had a battle space where we had private actors, we had national government, we had private industry, we had NGOs, we had international NGOs, national NGOs, UN agencies, all present in an area where humanitarian needs were considerable. And it was difficult. It was a very difficult environment. And that might be a snapshot, an image of how the future is going to be. And we need to understand the nature of this changing nature of conflict to be better prepared for that in the future. From my experience, I'd say that I think we could all agree that the humanitarian environment is very fragmented and that collaboration is not always at its best. But when we do collaborate together, when I've been in those operations where everybody is joining in from different agencies, different perspectives, things do tend to work better. So how do we reproduce that better? I don't know, but collaboration is certainly the key, and that's why we're really, here in AAP, we're really happy to see that this next week, it's very much a theme of the CCHN summit, and that's why we've been pushing quite strongly with our staff to join in, come online, listen to some of the presentations that are going on here, because the more we can step out of our silos and collaborate together, I think the better that we will approach and deal with these challenges that we'll be facing in the future. Well, they'll hear from AAP as probably one of the leading frontline, biggest humanitarian organizations in the world. And we have an executive director, for example, who does not hesitate to underline the importance of humanitarian access. And if you listen to him speak when he speaks in the Security Council, he makes it very, very clear. We need access to get our job done.